Good morning, students and parents. This is our weekly reading fluency. If you're below 100 or somewhere around 100, I want you to practice using a reading card. This is a first read. I'm pretty sure most parents and you know how to time yourselves. You're reading hopefully from the very beginning to the very end and writing down words you're getting stuck on. I do an example of that, and I do a first read and use a reading card. Hopefully you are practicing this and your reading's improving each week. Here's our reading for week 9. I can already tell just by looking at how this is arranged. Let's go ahead and number the paragraphs. Here's someone speaking here. That this is probably in a sequence in a narrative form. It's a grandmother and her granddaughter, but there aren't real people. They're make-believe people, but it sounds real, so I already know what that genre is going to be. So I want you to fill those two in on your own on this one. Something that we've seen a lot of, and you should be able to do that on your own at this point. Going to do a first read. First read's not timed. And then I'm going to use a reading card for those of you who need help, maybe increasing your word per minute a little bit. Grandma Miriam would be her name, carried the mound of dirty laundry through the narrow living room, carefully stepping around her granddaughter, Nomi. Names are always difficult, so we might have to write these names down. Nobi had just turned 3 years old and was intensely curious about many things. The little girl held a book upside down in her hands. Carefully, Nomi turned the book over and examined the pictures. "Read this," she asked her grandmother, her dark brown eyes hopeful and questioning. Grandma Miriam smiled and shook her head regretfully. Might be another one we might have to look at. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," she answered, "but I can't right now. I have to get this laundry started, and then we've got to go to the grocery store. Maybe we can read something a little bit later on." She walked to the utility room, set the laundry basket on the floor, and then moved into the kitchen of the small house and checked on the tea kettle, which wasn't boiling yet. This sentence starts here with she and ends all the way down here. Excuse me. With the period. This is a 4th grade sentence, very long. I'm going to read it again. I'm going to try and get from she all the way to yet. She walked to the utility room, set the laundry basket on the floor, and then moved into the kitchen of the small house to check on the tea kettle, which wasn't boiling yet. You have to read that all in one breath. She looked back into the living room, where little Nomi had dropped the book to one side and was now staring at the television instead. Grandma Miriam was reminded of her own children, now grown up, back when Miriam was younger and even busier than she was now. There had never seemed to be enough time for anything but endless cycle of cleaning, shopping, cooking, and getting kids ready for school. The years had flown by in a blur. You know what a blur is, but maybe you've never seen that word. Of coats flying off, on and off, without a clear memory of the days that had disappeared into the past. Another 4th grade sentence. Starts here at the and goes all the way to past here. This is where the period is. Here's the capital, there's a period. This has to all be read at one time. The kettle whistled, and Miriam turned to shut off the stove. She untied her apron, hung it on a hook on the kitchen door, and then walked back into the living room. Again, another long sentence. She sat on the floor with a grunt and picked up Nomi's book. The girl grinned and leaned against Grandma Miriam so she could see and listen at the same time. "Let's read right now," Grandma Miriam said. "I can do laundry later." So this is a story that probably a lot of grandmothers at home can relate to. I certainly seen grandmothers in the laundry doing laundry at the laundromat while I'm doing mine, and hopefully they get time to read to their grandchildren as well. So that would be a first read. We're going to write the words down here on the side. I might speed that up a little bit so I can get to the reading card. Now, if you're having trouble reading through this, and it's pretty long, it's over 300 words long, and you aren't being able to read through this from the beginning of the paragraph to the end of paragraph 6 here, at 120 to 140 words a minute, then the reading card will help train your eyes and train your mind to read a little bit ahead of yourself. I'm looking through here at a paragraph that might be easy enough to read if you are having difficulty with this. I would say maybe paragraph 3 is 2 and 3 are easy. At least the easiest in this short passage. So I'm going to use the reading card. Remember, the reading card goes up the top. It doesn't go at the bottom because what we need to read would then be covered by the card. And that's not what we want to train our eyes to do. We want our eyes to be trained to, and our mind to be trained to understanding the words, knowing the words, even if they're covered up. So I'm going to start here with the reading card at paragraph 2. I'm going to read through to paragraph 4. "Read this," she asked her grandmother, her dark brown eyes hopeful and questioning. I'm covering that up because I already know what the word is. I don't have to read each individual word as it's being written on the page separately. My brain already sees this whole paragraph, at least most of it, and I can cover it up before my eyes, and my eyes are looking at the next paragraph while my mouth is speaking and reading this paragraph. Let's see that again. "Read this," she asked her grandmother, her dark brown eyes hopeful and questioning. Grandma Miriam smiled. She shook her head regretfully. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," she answered, "but I can't right now. I have to get this laundry started, and then I've got to go to the grocery store. Maybe we can read something a little later on." She walked to the utility room, set the laundry basket on the floor, and then moved into the kitchen of a small house to check on the tea kettle, which wasn't boiling yet. So try this with an easier section, and then if you're even a good reader, try covering up more sections of it and seeing if you can read it with your mind and not so much your eyes. We have some vocabulary down here. Intensely, so this is going to be a vocabulary here. These are probably words you want to look up. Regretfully. Whoop, I put a Q for some reason. And then a utility room. What is utility? What kind of room is a utility room? Maybe some of you already know an answer to that. Sometimes we call these the laundry room if you have a washer and dryer at home. I don't have one at home, but I do have a utility room, and I keep like mops and brooms and tools and things like that in it. The next exercise would be to read for how many words per minute, and you can start. This is divided into several parts. You can read this part up to 143 words per minute. It starts over in paragraph 4. And for some unknown reason, it ends just before this paragraph, and there's a short portion down here before paragraph 6. That's a little awkward. Should have come all the way down here. But I guess paragraph 6 is short. It didn't make any sense. So you should be able to get through this section in a minute, get through this section in a minute. So this is really only a couple minutes of reading. I'm hoping you're reading some books at home. I'm going to send some books home for Thanksgiving that I hope you enjoy and can read over the holidays. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving myself, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving as well.